I mean, you are undermining the law. Like, you openly are stating that you would like to undermine the law. Anyway, Trump rally supporters following historic arraignment. Trump is motherfucking back, baby. Let's go.
We're going to start with the historic arraignment of Donald Trump. He pleaded not guilty to charges that he mishandled secret documents and conspired to conceal them from authorities. Last night, he rallied his supporters, attacked the investigation, and
the direct attack at you, Haas. On our updated transgender topical guide, Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminists, we recommend avoiding the vague and politicized term to describe cisgender women or others who object to the inclusion of transgender women in women's spaces. Wait, what? There's no way. Associated Press considers TERF to be like a slur? What are they, British? For some reason, they stay way longer than expected, just like that TikTok guy. Yeah. But they called themselves that. Avoid the vague and politicized terms trans exclusionary radical feminist, or its acronym TERF, and gender critical to describe cisgender women or others who object to the inclusion of transgender women in women's spaces. Instead, be specific about a person's or group's objections and paraphrase quotations that use the terms unless needed for a compelling reason. It's basically saying that TERF as a denomination is not good because it is weighted politically. Okay, so they want to call transphobic women something different, whatever they want to be called. Some of them want to be called TERFs, but I guess it's like too far for Associated Press in their style book. That's great. I'm going to say, yeah, they should just call them transphobes. In my opinion, half of the TERFs aren't really feminists and regularly claim men are better than women. They do that. They do that regularly. It's very strange that they do that, but they do it all the time. Typo? Where's the typo? What? You typoed badly? No. Yeah, they should just call them transphobes. I forgot the right call. Yeah, they should just call them transphobes, in my opinion. There you go. I edited it. Twitter blue, baby. Look at that. Twitter blue. No. All right, let's get back. Avoid using the term Nazi to describe people with white supremacist and genocidal ideology. This term is politicized and vague. Instead, be specific about the objections you have to these ideologies. Like, nah, bro, I'll just call them a Nazi because that's what they are. We really should be calling them farts, feminist appropriating radical transphobes. I like that. How the fuck are they going to put this out in June? No, there is definitely a sea change, okay? There is definitely an attitude shift where people are just straight up going, oh, actually, June is not Pride Month. It's literally fuck you month. Like, brands are like, Remember when we used to, on Pride Month, give you like the lowest bottom of the barrel show of like affection by pandering to you for like 30 days? We've decided it's going to be for like 4 to 5 days, and then we're going to tell you you fucking eat it. You can just eat shit and die.
We're going to start with the historic arraignment of Donald Trump. He pleaded not guilty to charges that he mishandled secret documents and conspired to conceal them from authorities. Last night, he rallied his supporters, attacked the investigation, and prepared to campaign for president while facing criminal trials in at least 2 courtrooms. Rachel Scott reports from Bedminster, New Jersey. Good morning, Rachel.
George, good morning to you. The former president quickly tried to turn the page, going in front of the cameras to rally his supporters. But inside that Florida courtroom, Trump never uttered a single word. His face was stern, his arms were crossed. He appeared to understand the gravity of the moment as the first former president to ever face federal criminal charges. Overnight, former President Donald Trump rallying his supporters at his Bedminster Golf Club, just hours after pleading not guilty to 37 federal counts related to his alleged mishandling of classified documents.
They will fail and we will win bigger and better than ever before.
In front of the cameras, Trump was upbeat and defiant, declaring his innocence and threatening to go after President Biden.
He looks so hot right now. He's never looked hotter. He's
But
never
behind
looked
closed doors,
hotter in my
much
mind.
different tone.
He's such a bad boy, dude. He's such a fucking bad boy. He's like about to go to prison. All he needs is like a cool leather jacket with some patches on it. You know what I mean? He's just fucking hot, okay?
Hours earlier in Florida, Trump's motorcade departing his Doral
Caked
resort,
up baddie.
the former president riding alone on the way to the Miami courthouse. A group of supporters and opponents gathering outside, largely peaceful, far fewer than the tens of thousands police had prepared for.
We love Trump!
Inside, Trump was arrested, his fingerprints taken electronically, but no mugshot and no handcuffs. When he entered the courtroom, he was just feet away from the man prosecuting him, Special Counsel Jack Smith. With slumped shoulders and crossed arms, Trump didn't utter a single word.
Goddamn,
his lawyer
they're cooking
entering
him.
his plea.
They're cooking him in the QRTs, man. Oh, God, this is such a stupid angle for this conversation to play out. Trump on the one hand is like, oh, man, I'm so fucking, I'm so big and so bold. Jack Smith is afraid of me. And then, like, CNN is basically saying, like, no, Trump was afraid of Jack Smith. It's just like, who cares, dude? Just
not guilty. Prosecutors say Trump illegally kept classified documents with some of the government's most sensitive secrets at his Mar-a-Lago club, storing them in a ballroom, storage room, and even a bathroom. And as the federal government pushed to get them back, prosecutors say Trump repeatedly tried to obstruct their investigation, allegedly suggesting his attorney hide or destroy the documents. Also at the defense table, Trump's aide Walt Nauta, who allegedly conspired with his boss to obstruct the investigation, accused of moving dozens of boxes to hide them from Trump's attorney. The judge ordering Trump and Nauta to not discuss the facts of the case, and they left the courtroom together, making one last stop in Florida at a Cuban restaurant in Little Havana.
Are you ready? Food for everyone. Food for everyone.
Nauta there, right by Trump's side.
I was part of a small group of reporters allowed inside that courtroom. We noticed that Special Counsel Jack Smith repeatedly glanced over at the former president. Trump never did turn around once to look right back at him. At times, the former president did appear restless. It was clear he was ready to get this over with quickly and get back to his 2024 campaign, where his legal defense is now a central part of his message, George.
It sure is. Okay, Rachel, thanks very much. Let's bring in our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams. Dan, let's start out with the Presidential Records Act. That's at issue right here. The president claims that he's allowed to keep these documents, but the Records Act is pretty clear that says they belong to the government, not the former president.
Correct. This is definitely a mischaracterization of what the Presidential Records Act. Look, there have been disputes between presidents and the National Archives over what should be considered a presidential record. But none of that relates to documents created by agencies, what are called agency records. The FBI documents, the CIA documents, the documents created by the Department of Energy. Those have never been suggested. Right. Those have never suggested that those are presidential records. I mean, if you take his argument to the extreme, he's basically saying, I can take home any document ever that belonged to the government that I saw or had access to. any of it. I should be able to take it all home. And of course, that's not the case.
He also made another substantive claim last night saying he didn't have time to go through the documents.
Well, it's actually the first time we have heard the former president address the question of, well, all right, so what happened here? And this is the first time we've heard him say, I actually didn't have time to go through the boxes. Because the question has been, so how did this happen? Did someone pack the boxes for you? Did you go through them? Of course, the prosecutors are alleging he knew exactly what was in the boxes. He was giving specific orders with regard to it. He's saying
he moved from the storage room
correct.
to his office, from the storage room to Bedminster, ordered it all. So they're going to have rebuttals to that argument.
And yeah, including some video evidence.
Dan Abrams, thanks very much.
My boxes!
CNN political analyst and New York Times.
Okay, we watched this live last night,
of a landmark,
and it was impossible to hear what Maggie was saying.
Caitlin, there were two things that were striking.
CNN political analyst and New York Times senior political correspondent, and of course Trump biographer Maggie Haberman is there, and she joins us now by phone. Maggie, obviously you heard the former president's speech. We did not take it here live. What did you make of what he told his supporters compared to how he was acting when he was here in Florida earlier today?
It's interesting, Caitlin.
I'm gonna skip this. I can't listen to fucking Maggie Haberman. AOC has some things to say, which will of course be misconstrued, and people will yell at her again. Where she talked about the two-tier criminal justice system, which is very real and exists, where black and brown people get the absolute shittiest version of the justice system, an injustice system, and rich people and powerful people, rich and powerful people, especially like Donald Trump, get incredible amounts of freedom to operate within this structure and do criminal misconduct regularly. But of course, people will get mad at
we
her,
do have now some of the sound. As I told you, we're not, and the audience, we're not carrying his remarks live because, frankly, he says a lot.
Dick, shut up. You guys are such pussies. We're not carrying his remarks live. Like, you literally, your network did a fucking primary for him. A primary debate. I mean, not a primary debate, sorry. Your network did a town hall for him. Jake Tapper, shut the fuck up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Jesus Christ, that's so fucking frustrating.
A lot of things that are not true and sometimes potentially dangerous. But we do have some, a small portion, so you can get a sense of his state of mind and how he might be framing his defense. I want to get your reaction to it. We're going to start, of course, I just want to note, he begins this clip we're about to show you by making unfounded claims about the charges against him, untrue and unfounded claims about the charges against him, and the people he thinks are behind it. So I just want to preface it by saying that, and then at the end of the clip, you're going to hear him frame what could actually be part of his defense. So here's a little clip.
Today we witness the most evil and heinous abuse of power in the history of our country. Very sad thing to watch. A corrupt sitting president had his top political opponent arrested on fake and fabricated charges of which he and numerous other presidents would be guilty, right in the middle of a presidential election in which he is losing very badly. This is called election interference, and yet another attempt to rig and steal a presidential election. More importantly, it's a political persecution like something straight out of a fascist or a communist nation. This day will go down in infamy, and Joe Biden will forever be remembered as not only the most corrupt president in the history of our country, but perhaps even more importantly, the president who, together with a band of his closest thugs, misfits, and Marxists, tried to destroy American democracy. But they will fail, and we will win bigger and better than ever before. The Espionage Act has been used to go after traitors and spies. It has nothing to do with a former president legally keeping his own documents. As president, the law that applies to this case is not the Espionage Act, but very simply the Presidential Records Act, which is not even mentioned in this ridiculous 44-page indictment. Under the Presidential Records Act, which is civil, not criminal, I had every right to have these documents.
Okay, a lot to unpack there. I'm not going to make you fact check, but just quickly, the Presidential Records Act, that's the defense he's going to bring, that's fine. There is no evidence that he legally kept these documents. They're not his documents. They belong to the American people. There's no evidence that Joe Biden had anything to do with this charges brought by the special counsel. The charges are not fake. The charges are not fabricated. He's not losing an election. The election hasn't started, and he hasn't even gotten the presidential nomination. There's no evidence that this is election interference. We do not live in a fascist state. And in terms of trying to destroy American democracy, we all know who tried to actually undo an election, and it's not Joe Biden, it's Mr. Trump. That said, your response.
You know, I think Donald Trump is the king of saying one thing to his supporters and doing another, doing the opposite in private. And in this circumstance, one of just the most brightest examples of that is of him today coming before his supporters and telling them, I was totally above board. I know that I was above board. This was part of the Presidential Records Act. But what we see in this indictment is a recording and also testimony of people of him telling people close to him, I could have declassified this. I did not declassify this. You shouldn't look at this because it is not allowed, because this is still a secret document. So this is just Trump in true form, in where he says one thing to his supporters, says another thing privately, but then also insinuates that he is a victim of a system that has been developed purely for his own privilege and benefit.
Do you think that, I mean, we've heard some clips from Republicans on the Hill. Congressman Don Bacon, a veteran Republican from Nebraska. Now, he's in a swing district, but he's been very critical. Obviously, Chris Christie has been critical. Bill Barr has been critical. Asa Hutchinson, who's running against him, has been critical. Nikki Haley made comments, if her husband's deploying, if this kind of thing could put my husband's life at risk. Do you see any break in the fever? I mean, have you heard from any Republicans on Capitol Hill? Not just the Mike Lawlers of the world who are already like Trump skeptics, but that's a congressman from New York for people who don't know. I know you know, but Republican. But I mean, from other Republicans. Are people just sick of this already?
You know, I do think that what is happening now is also layered into a bubbling political tension in what is happening in the House. Right now, some of the House's most staunch extremists, who are also some of Trump's most loyalist members of the House, have also ground legislating to a halt. And it seems to have been made very clear, and they have sent a direct message to Speaker McCarthy that McCarthy's either going to follow their orders or they're going to shut this whole place down. And that, I think, has created an enormous schism that is starting to happen within House Republicans, and this will absolutely exacerbate it, because what is detailed in this indictment is completely indefensible, on top of a conviction around rape charges that just happened out of the state of New York, and we don't even know what's happening in Georgia yet. This level of misconduct, of criminality, is getting to a point where it is indefensible. And I do believe that we are approaching that point.
You talked about the E. Jean Carroll rape charges. It's a civil case. He was found liable for sexual abuse, and I think he had to pay $5 million, something along those lines. A judge just ruled that E. Jean Carroll could add to her complaint against him because he went after her and defamed her at that Trump town hall. Absolutely. Calling her a whack job. What do you think of that?
Well, I mean, it also continues to convey his commitment to intimidation and to political intimidation, use of his platform towards intimidation. And to think that that would stop simply at one of his sexual assault victims is very naive. What we're seeing here, as outlined in this indictment and in these documents, right now, one of the things that we had to hear out of this court was that he could not contact his body person throughout this process, because we have seen a pattern that suggests a tendency towards obstruction of justice.
I don't think he can talk. He's allowed to talk to him. He's not allowed to talk to him about the case.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
So one of the House Republicans, Andy Biggs, he is calling this a war phase. He's obviously a Trump loyalist. Republican Senator J.D. Vance, another Trump loyalist, has announced that he's going to hold all nominees to the Department of Justice. He's going to block them. Like, no votes will be allowed on them, he says, indefinitely because of this indictment. Is Washington just going to shut down, do you think, ultimately?
Well,
because you described the schism already occurring that's stopping the House.
Here's what I think. I think a lot of Republicans, with the exception of like the really stupid ones like Tommy Tuberville, you know what I mean, are quietly waiting for Donald Trump to actually get criminal punishments. Okay? They want it in their heart of hearts. They desperately want it to happen, and they're waiting for it to happen because that way Trump goes away. There's no like loudmouth, volatile entity that can just like whip up the fucking most radical elements in their base. In the past, the most radical Trumpian elements in the base were completely captive to the Koch brothers, okay, the Tea Party. Like, these guys were basically doing whatever the fuck these Koch brother-backed networks of right-wing think tanks were telling them to do. That was a great tool to, create controversy when no such controversy existed. That was a great way to manufacture outrage of certain things. Donald Trump came in and captivated that base in this incredibly unique manner. All of a sudden, a weapon that the Republican Party wielded in the past turned into a weapon that could be wielded against them. So now they want Donald Trump to fucking quietly go away. Okay? 100%. Now you're going to have everyone walk this tightrope where they'll say, like, it's really fucked up that they are attacking Donald Trump by utilizing the Department of Justice, like more like the Department of Injustice. But the reality is that they all secretly are like, oh my God, thank fucking Lord. Thank Jack Smith. I would suck Jack Smith off if I could. Finally, they're getting rid of the Trump scourge. Okay? That's it. They're going to say whatever the fuck they want to say. They're going to say whatever the fuck they can get away with saying on camera because they don't want to piss off the base. They can't come across like they're anti-Trump until Trump is completely gone. But watch, that motherfucker is gone. Immediately, they're going to start. Immediately, as soon as people start forgetting that Trump is a person, is a viable entity, when you're not in an election cycle, everyone's going to start fucking doing pot shots at Donald Trump. Okay, if he actually does somehow end up losing the Republican primary. Now, if he doesn't, then they will maintain the Tucker Carlson role, where in private correspondences, they'll say they hate Trump, they hope he dies. Why is this man who's like half lard, half human, still very much alive and kicking, and literally looks more mentally competent than Joe Brandon? They'll say stuff like that in private, but in public, they'll just say, oh my God, we love Trump. What do you mean? Don't ever come after Trump. Okay? Because the base loves him. And not the entire base, but the base that matters the most. The ones that help you win the Republican primaries. Those are the people that love Donald Trump. Okay?
From doing its business.
Well, I do think that is a...
Just a reminder, being fat means living a couple inches forward with your gut. It's true. You are occupying more space. It's actually better.
Real question that cuts at the core of a decision that the Republican...
If a Republican wins an election, won't there be serious pressure to pardon him? Yeah, that's the easiest dub of all time. If another Republican is in the primaries and Donald Trump somehow loses to them, all they get to do is, oh, dude, if you vote for me, I will pardon Donald Trump. I will pardon Donald Trump. You literally, it's the perfect win-win situation. Without Donald Trump in question, if he's not in play for one reason or another, the Republican primaries basically turns into who will pardon Trump harder. You crazy? Ron DeSantis would be like, I will be the one to pardon Donald Trump the most hard. Donald Trump could execute someone in prison. I will pardon him for that as well.
Party is going to have to make if they are going to try to survive as a political party in the United States. We just saw that they experienced much lower gains than they thought they would last year in the 2022 midterm elections. We are also seeing the ramifications of an extreme Supreme Court that has several members that were appointed by President Trump. And additionally, with the erosion of the legitimacy of the court, with the conduct of Clarence Thomas, Brett Kavanaugh, and others, the Republican Party is very much at a crossroads right now. And they are going to have to decide if they are going to choose a cult of personality or this country. And that is what cuts at the core of this case. And I believe the American people are also going to have to decide if this is something that we are going to accept. And right now, you know, what is very dangerous is that Donald Trump is going to have this case going before a judge that was appointed during his administration.
Are all of Trump's indictments able to be pardoned? With the no, the Alvin Bragg case is not pardonable, and the Georgia one, if it actually comes to fruition, would not be pardonable. But the big one right now is pardonable, yes, because it's a federal case. So that's if it's a state crime. If it's a state crime, then no, the president can't pardon a state crime. The state governor could, which, of course, I don't think the New York governor is going to do that. And the Georgia governor might not do that either, as a matter of fact, but probably will. But hey, who knows? But the federal indictments that we're talking about right now, the classified documents one is federal. That one is pardonable by Donald Trump himself if he becomes president. Trump hates Kemp, so we'll see. And Kemp hates Trump. So that's actually a very interesting one. Like, they do literally despise one another. So it'd be very interesting.
If he somehow is able to delay this, if he is somehow, or for whatever reason, is able to clinch the nomination, he will seek revenge. I believe that.
I don't think they should say stuff like this. I don't think this is a good thing to say. And the reason why I don't think they should say stuff like this is because, like, that's candy for the Trumpians, okay? That's exactly what the Trump supporters want. They're like desperate for that. You know what I mean? Like, they want that so bad. That makes him look that makes Trump look so much better.
And
you're not the only one. I mean, Chris Christie said he thinks if Trump gets elected president again, his entire second term will be.
Why has it become so acceptable to let our most powerful politicians get away with crimes? Why is no one saying lock them all up? Why let corruption prevail? This reminds me of the fall of the Roman Republic, first of all. That's just how it's always been. That's how it's always been before America was in existence. And it will continue to be that way. The rich and powerful find ways to avoid getting any kind of serious punishment for crimes that, like, the average person would get absolutely owned for.
Be about revenge.
I believe so. And what we saw during his first term was him putting undue influence on the FBI, on the Department of Justice, to engage in an agenda of in a politically motivated agenda. We will see this really cut to the core of our democracy if it is not checked right now.
Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Democrat of New York, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
All right, as we mentioned.
All right, Trump supporters rally outside of the court. They're afraid of him. It's Hogwatch time, baby. Let's go. Let's freaking go.
Hundreds of people gathered outside the Miami courthouse today where Trump pled not guilty. Fox's Griff Jenkins spoke to a few for us to find out why they came out.
I am here to support Mr. Trump because
So good. Oh God, I love that. Oh God. That sound is a symphony to my ears, okay? When I hear squealing piggies screeching about Donald Trump being unjustifiably targeted by the government and how the satanic pedophile cabal is after him once again, I'm like, oh, I'm so back. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It brings, I literally have chills down my spine. Oh God.
he's not guilty. This is a pure harassment.
It's an injustice. They're coming after him for no reason at all. Just
Whoa, this guy's cool, man. He's got a toothpick in his mouth.
because he's running. Once he's out of the race, that's it. They win. He cannot drop out no matter what. This country is going downhill. If not for Donald Trump, this country's gone.
This is all bull. Since he went into the White House, I started with him, and they're afraid of him.
Do you think the other candidates should pledge to pardon Trump if he's convicted?
He ain't gonna be convicted because the people has the power in the United States.
What is he thinking? What does he think? Like, what are the people gonna do?
Like he's getting a raw deal. He's probably the most investigated politician in the history of the United States, and they've always come up with nothing.
My favorite is when Fox News interviews all these people, and they're very different people than like any other outlet interviewing Trump supporters. You know, they went there. There's not that many of them there to begin with, and they tried desperately to find the most coherent guys there. Okay, like it's so obvious. They were like, okay, these are like the 8 guys that we found that don't sound absolutely fucking psychotic. And even then it's like not working really, but
So focus their energy on investigating the Biden family. And it seems like the Biden family and the Democrats can pretty much do whatever they want to, and they don't get the same kind of media scrutiny.
If President Trump is reelected, should he pardon the Biden family?
Hell no, he needs to go after them. This is corrupt. This is a corrupt administration. We've never seen such a corrupt administration. When we have people in the White House peddling influence for money, and we have the laptop from hell, and we have 33,000 emails that were deleted, acid wash by Hillary Clinton, and she's allowed.
Wait, I found something out recently. I don't know where I saw this. I think it was Tim Pool's dumbass that actually brought this to my attention because he doesn't know how to read. But the acid wash stuff wasn't actually real. Like, they didn't actually take like bleach or acid to like the actual hard drives, where the entire time I actually thought that was a real thing. Hold on, let me see if I can find Tim Pool's tweet, because Tim Pool, like, weirdly enough, quote tweeted, oh, here it is. Tim Pool, weirdly enough, quote tweeted, they tried as hard as possible to claim Trump was lying. Fact check. Trump says Clinton acid washed her email server. She did not. Okay, this is from 2016. And this entire time, I thought they were like literally bleaching them. No, they were just using an app called Bleach Bit. This is so dumb because, like, look, I follow the news fairly closely, and even I got duped by this, okay? So I'm here to explain to all of you, I'm here to admit to all of you that I foolishly thought they literally were, like, bleaching it, because Trump was straight up saying yesterday even that, you know, they use bleach. It's very difficult. It's a chemical substance. They put bleach and they cleaned it up. It was super expensive to use bleach, but they did it. Which I think is pretty funny. I heard Bleach Bit for the first time from my dad in late 2016 before the election, and that's when I knew it was Jover. Using bleach wouldn't do anything more than just pouring water on a mechanical drive. Yeah, this is pretty standard procedure. I've been at gigs where we have to use similar software on user laptops whenever they leave the company. Well, anyway, it does make it so much funnier to just assume that Hillary Clinton did this when they just use like a software that deletes everything. Anyway, love that though. Love that was like something I found out. Anyway, let's continue.
Allowed to walk free. No one does anything about it.
Well, the Biden crime family, they need to be, if they're convicted, they need to pay the price because they actually been taking money and they've been bribed.
Yeah. Remember when I told you Fox News tried to go after the most sane sounding people at the rally, but they didn't have more than 5 people? This is where the interview unwinds into like mania, okay? A manifestation of mania. When you got the guy, you ran out. First 5 guys, one's a veteran, you know, you got some black conservatives, you got a Cuban conservative in there, and then boom. By like the 5th guy, you're on the fedora guy. You're on the guy with the crazy eyes wearing an American flag fedora. That's awesome. That's fucking awesome. You couldn't find more than 5 guys at the fucking Trump rally that were going to sound coherent?
It's pay for play, and they have sold out America.
If Trump gets reelected, should he pardon the Biden family?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's 2 tiers of justice in this country right now, and it's ridiculous.
Wait,
so,
what?
Trump 2024. Let's go, baby.
Thanks.
Wait, so they want Donald Trump to be pardoned, but if Donald Trump actually ends up winning, he better not fucking pardon Joe Biden. He better not do that, okay? Fucking kidding me? Absolutely not.
Thank you, Griff, for giving us that. That was cool. Now, while Americans are not afraid to stand up and say what they really think about this indictment, many of the establishment GOPers are...
What charges are Biden facing? His son having a fat penis. And also nepotism, doing nepotism and having a fat dick and doing a metric ton of crack cocaine on camera. Those are the charges against Joe Biden.
just staying
it's great.
Oddly silent.
Oh, yeah.
They think that by doing that and letting Biden do whatever he wants with the executive branch, that they're protecting the national security agencies. But they are not. They're simply allowing those agencies to become more and more discredited in the eyes of the public. Every Republican senator who wants to have a strong FBI should be furious with what the Biden administration is doing because its actions are weakening a vital U.S. institution. And thus, they're endangering the United States. One senator is giving it right back to the Democrats. Ohio's J.D. Vance today threatened to block all of Biden's judicial nominees until Merrick Garland stops using his agencies to harass Joe Biden's political opponents. Senator Vance joins me now. Senator, any other your colleagues going to join your effort?
You know, I think a few of my colleagues will. A few of my colleagues are already pretty actively pushing back against Joe Biden's Department of Justice. But here's the crazy thing here is we actually have some authority and we can use it to do something good for the American people. What so many senators, I think, are terrified of doing is using the constitutional authority the American people have given us.
Let me tell you something, okay? Mitch McConnell will kill you, okay? Mitch McConnell will literally come to your house and shoot you in the fucking head, okay? You think you're going to fucking stop Senate proceedings to halt a criminal investigation into Donald Trump? Are you joking? Do you want Mitch McConnell to come to your house and shoot you in the fucking head? Because he will do that to you, okay? You are out of your fucking mind. You understand? Remember what I told you earlier. I told you, most Republicans, okay, Republicans with institutional control that care about the future of the party want this investigation to happen. They will not say it publicly. They will not say it openly. They'll say the opposite. But deep down inside, that's their desire. Mitch McConnell is one of the few who straight up would be is like openly on board with shit like this. Okay? Absolutely. So the idea that they are going to put up a strong front, like, I mean, I don't think Mitch McConnell gives a shit about blocking blocking court appointees. Like, he might be fine with that. But doing it at the behest of genuinely trying to stop this investigation from happening, abso-fucking-lutely not. Wasn't he like dying recently? What happened with that? One can only hope. Unfortunately, that did not happen. Okay, he did not die. He unfortunately did not die. He's very much alive. He did not die from the fucking fall that he stood. Unfortunately.
The political appointees of the Department of Justice, the way to look at them is foot soldiers for turning the DOJ into political activism instead of actively doing the job of enforcing the law. Why should we be giving Joe Biden more foot soldiers when he's using them to attack his political opponents and conservatives all across the country? It's insane.
No, CNN, not surprisingly, went after your announcement today. Watch this.
There's a supporter just doubling down. We are seeing, not just from Donald Trump, Republican senators undermining the Justice Department and rule of law.
So it's not the fact that they are applying justice unequally. It's you, by actually using your constitutionally authorized, position to say, no. You have to give us information or we're not going to comply.
That's exactly right. I'm undermining the rule of law by doing the job of a United States senator. It's totally insane. I think one of these people actually accused me of obstructing justice myself by actually going after the politically motivated appointees here. But, Laura, this is insane here. It's the president's constitutional prerogative to declassify or classify whatever documents he wishes. The idea that Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton, before Joe Biden ever became president, get to mishandle classified information, face no consequences, and Joe Biden gets away scot-free, and Donald Trump is going to be...
I mean, you are undermining the law. Like, you openly are stating that you would like to undermine the law, right? There's an active criminal investigation in a court case into Donald Trump. It's pretty open and shut. You don't want to address the actual details of it. So you've decided, fuck the court case. They should just drop it, or else I am going to no longer do my job. I'm not going to play ball. Now, he can't do it on his own. He needs more from the Republican Party, which I doubt. I'm telling you, there are definitely more people in the Republican Party, especially in the fucking Senate, okay? Especially in the Senate where J.D. Vance is, that want Donald Trump to go to jail. That want Donald Trump not to be the actual the actual Republican primary winner. Okay, so good luck on J.D. Vance's endeavor. You are not going to be able to single-handedly stop this kind of shit from happening. Okay, he's just here so he can be on television, be on camera. That's it.
Put in prison for the rest of his life. That's what they're trying to do for declassifying documents as he has the constitutional authority to do. It's crazy. And we cannot continue to give the Department of Justice free rein to set themselves loose on the American people. Unlimited funding, unlimited resources, and unlimited personnel. We can, as a U.S. Senate, effectively grind the appointments process in Merrick Garland's Department of Justice to a halt. Why don't we do it? The American people, I think, expect it of us.
Do you think your colleagues in leadership who are more establishment types, do they understand that 81% of Republicans...
If I'm Mitch McConnell and I'm not, like, dead, okay? I cannot believe this. I seriously thought this guy was just a regular small British man named Joe Lambton, but he's a fucking Romanian Dracula named Vlad Obu. As the most shocking thing to me, he really fooled me. Okay, we'll look at more of the Andrew Tate stuff in a little bit. Okay. Unless Mitch McConnell is like straight up dead. If I'm Mitch McConnell, I'm calling J.D. Vance literally after this interview's over and going, if you say one more fucking word on television about how you want to disrupt the process that will finally quietly rid Donald Trump of any kind of like serious political power over the Republican Party, I'm going to fucking kill you. That's what I would do. That's because it's not like Mitch McConnell is hiding his disdain for Donald Trump. You know what I mean? I'd be like, do you like money? Do you think Peter Thiel will keep giving you money? Think enough Peter Thiel and his blood boys are going to be enough for you to keep your campaign afloat? I will primary you with the most right-wing psychopath in your dumbass fucking state so hard that copies of the Hillbilly Elegy will be burned because everyone will think you're gay. And that's a book about homosexuality. That's what I would say if I'm Mitch McConnell.
Think this indictment is politically motivated? Are they aware of where the political winds have shifted in the GOP? Or are they just going like it's 2004 all over again?
I think they're aware of it, Laura, but they're so caught up in the D.C. media environment that they don't remember the implications of this. If we sort of step back and think of the Trump presidency, every single alleged scandal, there was this initial rush of news, and then it turned out, when you look at the details, it wasn't nearly as bad as the D.C. press corps would lead us to believe. I think they need to remember here that all of the sensationalism around this indictment, we're going to learn the truth, and I suspect the truth is not going to be nearly as bad as it's reported on CNN the day after the indictment.
What's happened to the public's trust in institutions is, I think, far more significant than a bunch of documents being kept sloppily in a bathroom. We now have the American people, at least half the country, believing they can't trust the FBI, the Justice Department. How significant is that? And again, do your Republican colleagues realize what this indictment is going to do to that?
It's hugely significant. And this is the argument I make. Look, I've endorsed Donald Trump, but I would make this argument to people who are not going to support Donald Trump. This is really not about who was president. It's about the office of the presidency itself. Do you use that office to harass your political opponents?
Bro, Donald Trump ran on arresting Hillary Clinton. Of course, back then, J.D. Vance was still desperately trying to win favors with the liberal elite when he was, writing and releasing Hillbilly Elegy, and, that got a Netflix show or a Netflix movie out of it, you know what I mean? So back then, he actually hated Donald Trump and was saying awful things about Donald Trump. So maybe he forgot. But Donald Trump literally ran on arresting Hillary Clinton. It's so fucking stupid.
Or do you use that office to enforce the law? What we're seeing here is such selective enforcement that you're absolutely right. It's going to destroy the people's faith in equal administration of the law. If you have Democrats facing one set of principles and Republicans facing the harshest application of the law, then you're going to eliminate people's faith that the law is about what you do and whether you do it the right way and not about politics.
Military? Who's going to sign up for that military?
Yeah. Kind of sounds like Courage. Kind of looks like him, too. I just realized, no disrespect to Courage, but...
Exactly right. Why are you going to sign up for a military that is applying justice unequally? Why are you going to send your kids to law school? Why are you going to pay your taxes? The entire foundation of this country is that whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, we all face the same justice system. Joe Biden's Department of Justice is going to war against that principle. They're going to break the country unless we stop it.
J.D. Vance, great to see you as always. Thanks for coming in tonight.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox.
Hey, Sean Hannity here.